Taxpayers are shelling out more than $8 billion a year in Texas for food stamps, but that money doesn't always end up with the families who need it most. And as Becky Oliver found out, the government is doing little to put the brakes on the program plagued with problems. And in the end, Becky, we all pay the price.
We sure do. 4 million Texas families depend on food stamps, but we found when the bucks go missing, the government is quick to pass the buck.
You're all getting some food.
It's breakfast time.
No.
And James Cook has his hands full. 6 hungry kids, and now he's facing eviction. For the past few months, he's been using his rent money to pay for food. Because he says a company named J&J Grocery debited his Lone Star card 3 times, taking almost $1,000 from his family.
This company's just been stealing our food stamps.
Cook works for a yard service company, but his family depends on food stamps to make ends meet.
I'm selfish, not thinking about what they're doing to to families.
And this is my refrigerator.
Patrina Wheeler says her refrigerator and pantry are nearly empty.
Here's my insulin.
She's diabetic and suffers from lupus, but she's been living on mac and cheese.
I went to the hospital, my blood sugar was 482. And that was because I wasn't eating what I normally eat. This is how much I receive in food stamps every month.
Wheeler says half of her monthly benefit disappeared. The state deposited the funds into her account, but minutes later, J&J Grocery made a withdrawal.
I don't just think it's right for you to go in and mess over me.
And Taisha Dix says hundreds of dollars disappeared from her Lone Star account 2 months in a row, money she needed to feed her 3 kids. All 3 of these families filed complaints with the state food stamp office. They said they never used the grocery delivery company, never even heard of J&J. So we went by the office located in South Dallas to see what was up, but no one was there and the office empty. County records show Denisha Williams is the owner of J&J. She's 21 years old.
Well, I think those are governed by more federal rules.
Stephanie Goodman with the Texas Health and Human Services Commission says in the past 18 months, clients filed 891 complaints against J&J.
That's more than a pattern. Certainly a retailer like J&J, where we have had a history of just an inordinate number of complaints over the last 18 months, we absolutely refer that to the federal government.
So what are the feds doing? Well, we don't know. That's because when it comes to this card, everything is private. The feds will not release any information about the owner or the company, even though it's your tax dollars that are supporting this multi-billion-dollar program.
Since Williams wasn't at the office, we called her. She told us she was out of town, but agreed to meet us at Elam Park when she got back. Surprise, surprise. The day we showed up, Williams was a no-show.
So what's the problem if you're in Dallas about talking to us? Let's clear the air.
Williams told me she would call me when she was ready to discuss it.
This is the time to talk about it now, not later. We waited until you got back from Atlanta. We're sitting here at the park. You have almost 900 complaints at the state about this, and a lot of people that are very upset about unauthorized purchases on their card. And it's traced back to your company.
Williams hung up. County records show when Williams was just 18 years old, she was the registered owner of another food stamp business called Williams Convenience Store on Wheels. A year later, in 2011, the feds permanently disqualified that company from the food stamp program for trafficking in SNAP benefits, which means they were trading cash for people's benefits. The feds claim they have a zero-tolerance policy on fraud, but records show after the feds permanently disqualified that first grocery business, Williams turned around and registered J&J in Dallas County just 1 month later and became an authorized food stamp retailer once again.
She literally violated us. She took from us things that we needed to survive on. So I'm mad as hell, Becky, and I'm not gonna stop.
We also found this mugshot on file at the Houston Police Department. Williams was busted for theft and earlier this year completed her probation. The charge was dismissed. And look what else we found. 5 active warrants for her arrest in Dallas for everything from driving without a license to no insurance and speeding. Her fines total almost $3 grand.
I contacted you on last month about you withdrawing benefits from my food stamp account.
After Williams hung up on me, Wheeler tried to reach her, but she wouldn't answer.
I am going to hunt you down.
Wheeler disputed the charge to her account, but the state refused to put the money back, claiming J&J provided a copy of a receipt with Wheeler's signature. That's all a retailer needs to withdraw the money, a simple signature. So Wheeler went to the food stamp office to get a copy of that receipt.
I never signed anything, Trina Wheeler.
The receipt didn't even have her full name and clearly did not match the signature on her state card.
I'm livid right now. They forged my signature on this paperwork.
The state returned $165 to Cook, but nearly $1 grand is still in dispute. And so far, the state has not been able to provide any copies of receipts to Cook.
You stole from our kids.
But Daddy.
They don't deserve that.
Now, Patrina Wheeler learned over the weekend that some of her money has now been returned to her account. And while that is great for her, that means you, the taxpayer, now paid for her benefits not once, but twice. Cook and Nix are still waiting to hear from the state.
All right, so Becky, a couple questions for you. First, people who use the Lone Star card, they can use the grocery delivery trucks, but why would they?
Right. These grocery delivery trucks have gotten really popular, and they're for people who don't have transportation or the elderly. Sometimes that's the only way that they can get food.
Gotcha. Okay, and I know there are a lot more complaints out there. What is the status right now of J&J?
Well, Denisha Williams told me that she closed the business down in June, but the feds say that they don't have any information about that business shutting down. And the state of Arkansas tells us that J&J has been doing some business recently with Arkansas recipients, but wouldn't elaborate on that. So we'll keep you posted.
All right, Becky Oliver, appreciate it. Thanks.